G'day everyone. Before we hop into today's vlog, I just want to remind you to please hit that subscribe button. From now on, I'm going to be putting out daily online poker vlogs. We're going to be tracking my process as I play these 6 max online poker cash games 6 out of 7 days of the week. Make sure you hit subscribe so you get the vlogs as they come out. But for now, onto the vlog. G'day everyone, welcome back to the vlog. It is currently 7:30 a.m. here in Melbourne and I've just woken up getting ready to go play some 1-2 online no limit hold'em today. I didn't actually make a vlog yesterday. Obviously my plan was what it usually is, to play 1,500 hands of poker and vlog about it, but when I woke up yesterday at about 6:30 a.m. I just had a searing migraine and I just couldn't even get out of bed for most of the day. So I spent most of the day ridden, decided to not make a vlog. I started to feel better at around 5 p.m. so I did actually get in a few hands of poker, not quite as much as I liked, but I ran out of time to vlog about that or even play the 1,500 hands fully. So sorry about yesterday if you were hanging out for a vlog to come out then, but I'm feeling much better today. Like I'm going to be able to play all of these hands and vlog about it again. But first, I need a bit of a feed, so let's go eat. Okay, it is 8:30 a.m. here in Melbourne and I've just grabbed in my full feed. That was absolutely delicious, but now that we got that out of the way, it's time to go play some poker. 1,500 hands of online 1-2 6 max. And to make sure I do get that A-grade level play for myself today, I'm just going to really finely tune in and focus to what my opponents are doing. Just really observe what type of hands they're showing in showdown, how often they're 3-betting, if they're limping pre-flop and stuff, just so I can make really good exploits on whatever their strategy is. If I do that today, I'm going to give myself an A and I'm sure I'll have good results as well. We need to get in the poker, so let's go. Welcome back everyone. It is currently 5:45 in the evening here in Melbourne and I've finally wrapped up my third poker session for the day. Ended up playing a total of 4 hours and 37 minutes today for a grand total of 1,572 hands. So yet again we do beat the 1,500 hand goal for the day, which obviously I'm pretty stoked with. As you can tell, I did it in a pretty short period of time in terms of the hours played. Obviously, there was a bit of delays in between each session, which is why it's so late in the evening now, but whatever the case, glad that I hit my Day-Leigh hand goal. In terms of results from today's session, I did end up losing 678, which is obviously a pretty big loss for the 1-2 level. But as far as my gameplay grade goes from today, I'm actually going to give myself a B+. I really do feel like the biggest reason I did lose so much today is because of run bad, losing in a bunch of high EV spots, getting straight in, then they river the flush, getting kings all in against aces, getting set over set. All of those things happened to me today and definitely contributed to the size of this loss. We will get into one hand history later where I do think I do make a critical mistake, which ends up costing me more than it should have. More on that later, but I'm not entirely blameless for this huge loss. And actually another pretty significant mistake I did make is I did mix in 6 tables for about an hour in my third session today when I was pretty desperate to get volume in when it was so late at night. And as we know, it is not a good move for me to mix in the 6 tables. That hasn't changed. I'm still not ready to focus on that many games at once, particularly towards the end of the day when I am already the most fatigued and most likely to be off my A game. Pretty kicking myself a little bit for mixing in the 6th table. I definitely do feel I'm off my game when there's that much going on at once. And I really just need to stick to 5, which it's a bit frustrating to say this yet again. It's a lesson I feel like I've already learnt on this vlog, but Apparently not, because I did do that today, so gonna have to downgrade myself a little bit for those mistakes. But other than that, I thought I was disciplined. I didn't get tilted by the run bad at all, and really felt like I was making good exploits and going for maximum EV against my opponents and the mistakes they were making. So gonna end up on a B+ for today's sessions. So I actually was pretty satisfied with the decisions I made in most of the hands I did play today. It was just a bit unfortunate to run bad in some of the higher variance spots, but this next hand in particular, there might be a slight exception here because I really don't like one of the decisions I made during the hand, and I'm sure you'll be able to pick which one it was when we get into the hand, which we're going to do now. The action folds to me in middle position with pocket fives. I just want to say about these baby pocket pairs, pocket twos through pocket fives, these are my least favourite hands in all of poker. I always say aces is my favourite hand. These baby pocket pairs are my least favourite. I think they are really hard to play. You open them up and then you go to a flop, and if you don't hit your set, usually you just have to check fold, which is an awkward spot to be in. Then sometimes you do hit your set, and then everyone else has the higher sets in their range, so they can be difficult to navigate then. I'm not saying that you should just always go ahead and fold them, particularly in late position, but just in my personal preference, they're my least favourite hands. Having said that though, when it folds to me in middle position with pocket fives, I'm definitely still going to open it, but I think this is probably the weakest pocket pair that I would open from middle position. Probably wait until the cutoff to open pocket fours and pocket threes. So the action's on me, and I do go ahead and open it up to 5. Then I get a call from the cutoff, the button, and the big blind. So we go 4 ways to a flop. Then the flop comes out 5, 3, deuce, rainbow. All of a sudden, those baby pocket pairs don't look that bad on this board. When the action checks to me, I definitely want to go ahead and bet my set for value. Obviously, I can get called by any 4, which is an open-ended straight draw. Additionally, I think pretty much all of my opponents do have the hands pocket 6s, pocket 7s, pocket 8s, pocket 9s in their range. Some of them might even have pocket 10s, and I think those hands are definitely going to call a bet on this straight, but there's going to be a lot of scare cards for those hands on the turn. Like if the turn's a queen or something, they're probably going to be more reluctant to put money in the pot. So I definitely want to go ahead and get value from those hands now with a bet. So I go ahead and make it 15, then I get a call from the cutoff, the button folds, and the action's back on the big blind. They do something interesting. They go ahead and min click it to 30. The action's back on me here, and I think this is a really interesting spot, whether I want to just call or go ahead and 3-bet here. The reasons I would consider 3-betting are if my opponent does have one of those overpair hands I mentioned earlier, we can still bet for value against those hands. Additionally, my opponent did call in the big blind as well, so it's actually very likely that they do have pocket 3s, pocket 2s in their range, or even 3-2 is actually somewhat possible, calling in the big blind, getting a price, so we can look to build a pot against those hands. The reasons I actually do prefer just calling in this spot are my opponent got a price to call in the big blind, so I actually think they have a range that includes all of the ace-4 offsuits and definitely all of the 6-4 suiteds and maybe the 6-4 offsuit combos. So I do actually have to be a bit cautious here since I do not have the nuts and there are a lot of straights on this board additionally. So I think when I am re-raising, I don't really need to re-raise here to get more value from a hand like a set, because they're probably going to put more money in with that hand anyway, particularly when they have the betting lead on the turn. And I'm sort of just like negative free rolling myself when my opponent does have a straight. I think this is a good spot to play cautious and just call the check raise, but I go ahead and 3-bet it to 45, which, like I've said, I do think is a mistake, but my thinking was I just want to build the pot against an overpair or a worse set, which I think is faulty. I think overpair will probably just fold to the 3-bet here, and additionally, I think a set will definitely call on this street, but I don't know, they might end up folding on a later straight, putting me on ace-4, not thinking that I'm going to, take this line with an overpair, since that would pretty obviously be an overplay. I think just calling's a better play here, but I go ahead and inflate the pot even bigger. I go ahead and make it 45. Then the cutoff folds, and the big blind does call. So we're heads up to the turn, which is the queen of clubs. Big blind goes ahead and checks it over to me here, and I actually think this is a pretty awkward spot, to be honest, at this stacked pot ratio. I really don't want to go ahead and check my set here, just because if my opponent does have a worse set, I think we can probably actually be able to stack them by going all in here. But I don't really want to go all in either, just because if my opponent does have one of those overpairs I talked about on the turn, I think they're probably just going to go ahead and fold when the queen is an overcard to their overpair most likely, and then I'm sort of just like free rolling myself against, it's more likely my opponent calls with a straight than they do with a worse hand. So I don't like that either, and I also don't like betting small either, just because if my opponent does want to call with a worse hand like pocket sevens or set or two pair, I think they're just as likely to call an all-in as they are to call a smaller bet. So all options on the table seem awful. Ultimately, I do decide to go all in here. Just if my opponent does want a hero call with pocket sevens, pocket eights, I want to give them the opportunity to, and I think a set will call this bet regardless. So I go ahead and rip it all in, and then my opponent snap calls with 6-4 offsuit. So obviously we're in pretty gross shape. We do have outs to improve on the river though. The river is the ace of diamonds. Obviously, we don't improve on that river and our opponent stacks us. I really do think I escalated the pot too quick on the flop with my 3-bet. I think I should have been more concerned with the big blind that they did flop a straight in this spot. And if I do play it a bit more cautious, I really don't think I'm going to get stacked. Obviously, I'm still going to lose a big pot regardless, but I do think if I played it more cautiously, I could have limited the damage here and kicking myself a bit for not doing that. Obviously though, I can see the other side of the argument where you have a set, like of course you're going to inflate the pot to try and get max value from a worse hand. So if you disagree, hop in the comments below and let me know how you would play the flop when the opponent check raises. Do you go ahead and 3-bet it, or do you play it a bit more conservative, just call the raise? Hop in the comments below and let me know what you think. That's going to wrap up another vlog for today. Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. That really helps out the channel. And if you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button. Bunch of new subscribers on lately, and I appreciate everyone who has hit that button. You're the best. For now, I'm out of here. Peace.